forced perspective to create a back scene? Stay tuned and I'll show you how to do it. Good afternoon everyone and welcome back to Piccadilly. Now, before I say anything else, I just want to thank everybody who gave suggestions and comments regarding the last video. It is lovely and heartwarming to know that so many people sort of are interested in the layout and want it to do well. So thank you so much about that. All right, so hopefully that gives you a flavour of where we're going with this. And what I want to do in this video is to work on that building a bit more and build the perspective into that building so that it gives the impression that actually things are going into the distance. Now, in the picture at the back, we've got the buildings with lines on already. So that's got quite a severe line there, and it gets shallower. Now, I've just talked about vanishing points. So the vanishing point for this building is probably going to be somewhere about there. So this building is going to head towards that point, and this edge is also going to head towards that point because I want them to follow in with the back scene. And also the buildings that are going to go along here, I've downloaded some flats. Again, they will follow the perspective. I thought I'd put this in just to give you an indication of where we're going, and you'll also notice what I've done with the building there. I've cut the side piece off that went underneath there, and I've also cut it down a story. The reason for that is because I just felt that it's no point in doing all this scenery work at the back here if you can't see it. Now, whilst that does look a bit of a mess at the moment, this is going to come ever so slightly forward, probably by millimetres, and it's going to have a side and then a roof built. So it will actually look from here like a complete building. That's the whole point. And also this bit here will have a little bit of a roof built as well. I'll go back to the original picture and just see what was there and then sort of build something according to what I see. But that will all be filled in with varying parts. Now this part, if you're familiar with New Mills and you know the long stretch coming out of the tunnel, coming out from the station going up towards the twin tunnels, there is quite a severe drop to the right hand side, and then you've got the Millennium Bridge running around the outside. Now this area is obviously curved and you've got the old mill sitting here. Now that factory is a bit of a nod to the old mill. I am going to cut a smaller slot here and there'll be a canal running through the area down below. I'll just bring the camera back slightly. So there will be a canal running through the middle here. There'll be the warehouse, like I explained last time, which will be modified so that there is a loading dock. And it will be disused. Nothing like Piccadilly Sidings, but nevertheless. And like I said, if I can get it to work, I haven't downloaded it yet, but maybe put a mill in here so that boats can come either past it or through it, that type of thing. That's generally where I'm coming from. But at the same time, give the impression that actually we're approaching the big city, which is in the background just there. Now, I have gone ahead and done this bit. This is still to do. I'll show you that. But I can't see the point in showing literally every single bit because it is bespoke, and if I give you the idea with the main focus, which will be this building, then you'll see what I mean. But hopefully you can see the perspective in play there. If I take you up and show you that, see, the angles of that building are quite extreme, but when you look at it from here, it doesn't look wrong because the main focus is still going to a point there. Does that make sense? I hope it does anyway. Right, hopefully you'll get the idea of what I'm doing here. Just got some scrap card. Now obviously that's nowhere close to big enough. But what I've got to do is cut a triangle with curved edges that goes in there, obviously from here to here. And that will then just cover. I'm not going to go all the way back because again, I want to give some depth behind these buildings here and this building. If I go and touch that, it gives the impression that this building is all that distance. And in fact, that could be a mile between there and there, looking at the scheme of the picture. So, or half a mile, I just don't know. But nevertheless, that would make it an enormously long building. So I'm probably going to stop it after about 20 millimeters in. I hope that makes sense. So then you'll see this dark bit here, but the eye will read that as nothing. That's a natural gap or a shadow, if you like. So I'm going to cut a piece of card going around there. I'll show you basically on this one, but I'm just going to place it up against and I'm going to draw the curve. So I'm looking at the gap there, so I've got to end up with the same gap at this end from here as from there to there, and same with that, like that, and then cut that, and I will on this piece. Actually, that's pretty good. I'm quite liking that. And then if it's still not quite right, then if you've got it within a few millimeters, then you can literally just put your pencil up straight like that and just do it again up that side. But actually, I'm not too far off with that curve, to be honest with you. Right, so there's that piece cut out. Now, it is a trial and error thing, I'm afraid. There's no real shortcuts with that. You just have to keep doing it until you get it right. But as you can see, now, if I put that just like that, I can take it up a little bit, and then there'll be an abutment going across the top. But if I say that this here is the vanishing point, all the lines then have to go to it. So that would go off at that angle, and then I can build that side of the bridge down, or the building down there. And we want this one to come across at that angle. Is that right? No, a bit more. It's got to be more than that angle, because it will look wrong. So if I took it to parallel, it wouldn't look right, because if you can imagine, there's your vanishing points and all the lines then come out at an angle like that and rotate around. From that point of view, you can see where that angle is coming from. And if I turn the pencil that way, hopefully you can see where that angle is coming from, which is about right, to be honest. So I need to cut those off at that angle and that angle. Okay, welcome back. Now, what I've done is I've taken the building and just put some L-shaped flaps on there. So it's literally just a piece of card scored down through the middle and then glued on. That will make the joining of the edges so much easier. And I've also, you can probably see these pieces here. This is just a strip. I'm not even sure what width it is. It probably is a different width from one piece to piece. What I'm going to do is, I'll change my mind, and I'm going to draw a line across the back there. In fact, I'll do it as we speak. So I don't know what that distance is, but I'm putting my finger up against the edge and using my finger as a guide, drawing a line all the way down. And now the idea is to stick these pieces up to that line, and that will give me a surface then to glue this piece to. Now I've gone ahead a little bit now and put the side piece on, which is actually just another piece of the print off, but a flat version this time. Now I've used a width of windows, but that will hopefully give me the illusion that the windows will continue into the distance. And by using thin strips, which I'm just about to cut now, you will hopefully get the impression of the vertical columns that are going down the edge. Now the first one I'm going to cut is going to be around about 2 mil. Now if this was a painting, you'd only indicate the first couple of bays of windows, and then you probably wouldn't bother too much after that, maybe just a line. But in a model, it's a bit different. Now if I put another couple in there, hopefully that should give the impression of what I'm saying. I will have to darken the windows up with a pen. Right, next bit then is to start thinking about doing some of these lines, trying to get it into a place where I can see what I'm doing and you can see what I'm doing. Right, now these first couple need to be a lot darker. Now the top part is a lot blacker because there's a roof overhang, okay? And we do need to emphasize a little bit of that, so that would just indicate that bit of the roof this bit. So that's what I'm doing there, just indicating a bit of that, and then bringing the lines down, not obliterating the window, but just emphasizing it's dark, the dark edges, and a little bit dark around. So I still want it to be quite grey, but with a dark edge. Now just be very careful when you do this. Don't make it wobbly looking. It will look ridiculous. So I'm going to do obviously these two like that. So I'm keeping away from the very edge. Let the edge that's already there provide the edge, if that makes sense. Okay. It's a bit of a job to get you to be able to see what I'm talking about, but that's that bit. Right, the next bit I need to do is to put a top edge around the whole of this with an extra bit in the middle. So I should do one strip, two to there, that bit on its own, and then there and down here. Okay, so you can see now I've put the trim along the top. It does look a little bit on the rough side, but I might not worry too much, we'll see. But you can also see that it's wider at the front than it is at the back, and the same with that one just there. Again, it's adding perspective. Things get smaller as they go into the distance, and it's the whole point of it is to add to the forced perspective. To make this building feel it's a lot bigger than it actually is. Now the next thing I'm doing is, you can see I've just put one piece in there already, and that's using some 1mm square plasticard, and I'm literally just mounting it under the trim. I might only, well, I don't know, I might not do a lot down the side there, we'll see. Right, there's the completed scene for today. Be aware that's not the completed scene. That's as much as I'm going to do for this video. You'll probably notice I did go ahead and put the roof on. I will just show you that. It's just being held up with a bit of black tack on. But it's literally just a piece of card folded over. I did put the curve in it, and then when you fold it, you automatically get the reflection on the other side. And then you might be able to make out that I've layered up the roof slates. So there's four courses of slates in amongst that, and I've just started at the bottom and worked my way up to the top with 4 courses each for each row. I'll just pop that back in there. It closes that gap up. That's it. A little bit of black tack just to hold that up. Now, the forced perspective bit. Now, do understand there's more to do, and I've still got these buildings here to put in, and that will complete that video, or that look. So the next video will carry on with that theme, although I'm going to call it something different, and adapting a download kit or something like that. But the idea of having the forced perspective is still there. So don't feel that because it's got a different name, it's going in a different direction. It's not. They're all heading the same way. But the whole point of this is that everything is geared towards that point over there. So even these buildings, when they go in, I'm going to put them in on an angle, and then the sides will seem to splay out that way. So they might not be 90 degrees when you look down on them. They're probably going to be more around about 110, maybe even 120 degrees. So it really does depend on the kits when I've made them up. But not only that, like I said before, as things go further into the distance, they naturally get smaller. I mean, if you look at those two towers there, they would be phenomenally bigger than this. Now, I know they are taller in this scene, but they would be physically bigger. I imagine that office tower to be wider almost than that. But yet, in the distance, it's tiny, as you can see. This rail running along here, which will form the side of the girder, and there will be a base to it as well. So if you do see inside, there will be like a ground, but this end is 25 millimeters, whereas that end is 20 millimeters. So hopefully if I do that, it gives you the impression that it's going into the distance again by quite a long way. So I'm hoping that the idea of the perspective is coming across there, and like I said, we'll carry on that with another video. Now, as I said to you before, the whole concept of this, hopefully with this scene now, you can start to see a lot more of where I'm going with this. And I've even gone ahead and drawn on just an outline of where the canal could be coming through. Whether it's as big as that or whether it be smaller, I don't know at the moment. There's some boats from the Scale Scenes kit to make up, so I'll make those, and we'll see what happens. But this gives you an idea of what this will look like. It's by no means the finished surface. I need to check again, but this is a concrete finish coming down here. Some lichen down there. I will cover that with flock, so please don't think that's the finished look, but I do want it to look not tight, but because I do like the idea of being able to see the strands forming the branches and the etc, etc. I might even put a bit more on that rocky bit just there, maybe even a bit of grass or something, just to sort of hide, because I'm not sure that bit's standing out a bit too much really, and I think a little bit more of a subtle approach would be better on that. But yeah, so I've got two office blocks going here, which will be the same, although different buildings, and also there will be a warehouse going here with, it does have a platform on it, but the platform is going to be quite low because it's going to be a dock for the canal, and I shall surface that so it's not rough board shape, particularly with a hole in it, and then I shall paint that. This won't be a resin pour, because otherwise it will take the level of this much higher than the tracks, and I don't want that to happen. I don't think, anyway. I might change my mind, you never know. It's the way it goes at the moment. But yeah, so I'm hoping you like that. Anyway, the top video will be the one previous to this, where I started this whole process and I looked at that area and I thought, what a mess, I need to change that. But the point of that was to hopefully give some helpful hints to those who find awkward corners in their layout, that type of thing. And the second video, the one below, will be number 8 in the New Mill series. Thanks very much, and I'll see you again next time. Bye for now.